Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Betting Pros NFL podcast. I am your host, Dan Harris. You can find me on Twitter at DanHarris80. With me is Matt Peralt, host of the Daily Juice podcast. You can find him on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt. Matt, what's up?
Hi, NFL football. It's here. I can't believe it's here, but it's here.
I said it on our Fantasy Pros football podcast this morning. My wife told me that I just let out a big giggle. Like I turned on the TV and I just giggled. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. It was amazing. And I don't know about you. It didn't feel that weird last night. Like I didn't really notice that there weren't that many people in the stands and stuff like that. It felt normal.
Yeah, I think what I equated it to was like a blowout game in the fourth quarter where like we've seen games where guys are playing and there's nobody there or there's like 18,000 there. And, Chief fans did their best to be heard and yelling and screaming. So, yeah, I mean, I've said this since the sports pandemic has started when it comes to the UFC events on TV. I don't notice fans not being there. Occasionally I will. In basketball, it looks like a 2K game to me. So it's like, it looks normal to me watching it on TV.
Right.
I think if I was there, I might say it's different. But from a television viewership perspective, I don't know. I mean, it's sports on TV, man. I'm good.
Other than Andy Reid's, welding mask that he basically was wearing the entire time, you wouldn't have noticed the difference. I also felt really good about cashing in on my Chiefs plus 101 points bet that we got on that special offer from DraftKings, which is why you want to listen to us and listen to Matt's podcast, The Daily Juice, which is one of my favorite listens, 15-minute podcast, first thing in the morning every day. Got a ton of offers when they come out. So that was one of them. The Chiefs plus 101 points, not a joke, at minus 110.
Yeah, I talked to Johnny Avello from DraftKings on my radio show, and he told me that they did $10 million. That was their handle for that game, which is playoff game-esque for DraftKings. It was their biggest NFL game, but Johnny's been around for a long time. But $10 million is a pretty good handle for one game for DraftKings.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, so this is a little later in the week than we're going to be doing it. We're usually going to record on Wednesday, which is what we had planned to do. It was my fault. We had a crazy schedule. Matt is fitting this in between moving, which he is doing the second we are done with this. So let me break down here what we're going to do a little bit on the weekly show. We've got something kind of cool. Matt and I are doing a picks contest together over at DraftKings. The DraftKings Pick'em Championship. First prize, $1 million. Guaranteed. You have to make 5 picks every week, except for 2. You get to take 2 weeks off from weeks 1 through 16. It's a little weird, so there's going to be some game theory on there. Separately, Matt is doing a separate big money picks contest. So we're going to be breaking down our choices from us as a team. And Matt is also, we're not going to necessarily agree. I'm not necessarily going to agree with what Matt is doing. Maybe I will. We'll see. But Matt, tell everybody about your contest that you're in. I will tell everybody a little bit about DraftKings, and then we will get to it.
Sure. So I'm in the Circa Million, and that is a $3 million guarantee, which has seen a ton of publicity and a lot of attention here in Vegas because of that overlay, the $3 million being guaranteed, first place prize, $1 million every 4 weeks with the quarter poll awards. It comes out with $150,000 for first place, and they award second and third place as well. So this is 5 games against the spread. The difference between the Circa and the DraftKings contest, DraftKings does not make you enter all 5 of the picks in if you want to play Thursday. DraftKings Circa does. So if I want to play the Thursday night game like last night, which I didn't play in the Circa, we bet it for the Daily Juice, but not for the Circa, you had to put in all the picks for Sunday, and you just can't do that given the uncertainty today in sports and with COVID-19 and injuries and whatnot. I mean, look at the injuries that popped up today for games. It's a bad move. It's a losing move to play Thursdays in the Circa, but for DraftKings, they let you put 1 in and then 4 on Sunday. So Circa rules are a bit more restrictive than what we've seen with the DK rules.
Yeah, and you can also get them in on Sunday morning. I think Circa locks on Saturday, Matt. Is
Correct.
that right?
3 p.m. Pacific time on Saturday.
Correct. So you get a little extra, and you don't have to put them in the DraftKings contest all at once if you don't want to. You can submit them sort of as you go. And again, it's a little weird because it's only 14 of 16 weeks. You get to take 2 weeks off. So you can be looking at a tough one. Makes for a lot of game theory. Matt's going to go all through the 17 weeks of the NFL season. So that's what we're going to be doing. So Matt, why don't we start like this? And there may be, by the way, different odds because I don't know what the Circa odds are versus the DraftKings odds.
Oh, they're different. Yep, they are different.
Okay, good. So why don't we get started here at your Circa sports pick? Matt, by the way, Matt and I legitimately, he sent a couple of games that he's feeling. I agree with 2 of them.
Okay.
Not sure about the third necessarily, but we are legitimately going to be working at our picks on this podcast.
Good.
So welcome to a little, behind the scenes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Matt, but you feel confident on, you said at least 4 of your 5 picks over at the Circa, right?
Yeah. So, okay, we can start with the Cardinals here catching 6.5 on the road at the 49ers. And I think there's a good shot that the Cardinals win this game outright. And I'm really high on this team. I'm high on Murray. I'm high on the offense. The defense for the 49ers not nearly as good. I do believe there's a hangover from a Super Bowl perspective, but catching 6.5, given the way the Cardinals played the last 2 games of last year against the 49ers, played them pretty tight. They covered once. They didn't cover in the second game, but this is a Cardinals team that I think has a ton of offensive firepower. And look, Garoppolo is a fun quarterback, and they're going to run the ball like they always do, but I think this is a Cardinals team that's going to be explosive and really dangerous on a week-to-week basis. So 6.5 is the number at the Circa. I believe DraftKings is 7, right, for that game?
No, I think DraftKings is 6.5 when they finally put it up. Yeah.
Okay, so I still like 6.5. I mean, I would prefer it at 7, but 6.5 for the Cardinals is my first play on that. Do you want me to go through all four?
Hold on, let's talk about that one very briefly, because I lean Cardinals, but I don't feel strongly about it. That was the one that you sent over where I was like, ooh, interesting. I'm not exactly sure. Now, it's worth noting that there is some concern over whether or not this game is at least going to be played in San Francisco, right? Because of the air quality. I think if it gets past some certain number, which it is bumping up against, they cannot play. I don't know if they would move it to a neutral stadium or whether or not they could move that to Arizona even. Like, who knows what they're going to do. So there is some uncertainty. I guess part of what worries me a little bit is just the continuity with San Francisco, where there's a lot of that, and that is a huge thing right now coming in. Now, there's continuity with Arizona, but obviously you've added DeAndre Hopkins. So I lean Arizona, but I want to put that one to the side for DK because I think I'm going to be more on top of your other pick. So who's your next pick?
Next pick is the Falcons at home against the Saints. I am a big contrarian
about
bettor.
The Seahawks.
Seahawks. Excuse me, Seahawks. Sorry.
Yep.
I was thinking Seahawks. I'm a big contrarian bettor, and 89% of the bets and the money are coming in here on Seattle -2.
Right.
Falcons with Matt Ryan, a healthy Julio Jones. They've made some changes in the offseason. They looked to up their defense. They'll have fans in the stands. We don't know. I think it's like 15,000 fans are going to be there. So much like what we saw last night with the fans for Kansas City, I think they're going to create at least some type of buzz inside of that stadium with the dome and whatnot on a fast track. Seattle with some questions, some injuries. I know it's Russell Wilson. I understand that, but I give me 2 points. Give me a home dog in week 1 with a cross-country flight for Seattle.
Yeah, this is another one where I would lean Atlanta just because it's such a public play right now to be on Seattle. Because other than that, I agree. I mean, I think Atlanta is their offense in particular is going to be good. They haven't yet had the rash of defensive injuries that they seem to have every year. But man, it is just so incredibly difficult for me to bet against Russell Wilson in what amounts to a pick'em, right? I mean, that's basically what it is, because he just makes them better than they are. He always does. And I think that, it's not a terrible matchup. So that one, again, putting that one to the side. Those are your 2. Go to your next one.
My favorite play of the entire weekend is the Saints -3, -3.5. I don't really mind either one. 3.5 clearly is a difficult number because of
is
the hook.
Is it 3.5, by the way, in the Circa?
It's 3.5 in the Circa, I believe. Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's the same at DraftKings.
So here's my theory on this. You're talking about the best team in football in the Saints, the best continuity. You're talking about a defense for this team. Look, I understand that you could hang all last year on Jameis Winston if you want, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not hanging the entire season on Winston's turnovers and picks. They had issues last year. This is the Saints. I know there's a contract question with Kamara, but this is the same thing I thought last night with the Chiefs. Like, everyone's looking for a reason to bet the dog, and they can talk themselves into it. And then they get their doors blown off. Saints are going to win this game by at least 7 points in my mind. Saints -3.5. I got no problem laying that.
Yeah, I'm with you. This is one sorry, I don't know if you want something profound. Also, by the way, I don't know if you just saw, they just announced Mike Evans doubtful.
Yes,
in this game.
Huge.
So that is certainly big. This also strikes me as a pretty public play on the Bucs, right?
On the
huge
Bucs.
on the Bucs.
Huge on the Bucs. But I think it's going to be a good two-way on this. But I do think that the initial public play is Tom Brady, Gronk. This is, Shaq Barrett. I mean, I think that's the public side immediately because everybody wants to see Tom Brady do well.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, the Saints are, I think this is the Saints here, man. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think
do
this
I.
is it. Breeze's last hurrah. So we have talked a little bit about that. So, okay, I'm not going to write that in with pen. I'm going to write that in with pencil because I do like it. That is a good pick. So probably we're going with the both. Which is your fourth pick here?
Titans Monday night -2.5 on the road at the Denver Broncos. Courtland Sutton goes down with an injury. Courtland Sutton
Also doubtful.
He's not, I don't think he'll play personally.
Yeah.
I do not like Drew Lock. I know they're going to rebuild around him and they think he's the guy. I could be wrong about that, but I am a monster fan. Like you and I agree on the Titans. I have the Titans. They're my pick to win the AFC. I'm going massive contrarian here. Not the Ravens, not the Chiefs. I'm going Titans to the Super Bowl here against the Saints with the Saints winning it. I just think this is going to be a tough situation without Von Miller. I thought the line would have moved more than it did. It flip-flopped. Initially, when it first came out, it was -3 for the Denver Broncos. Then Miller was out, and then it flipped to -2.5. But the fact that we don't have to lay 3 points, it's 2.5, all over the Titans, -2.5.
Yeah. So I like this one too, and for basically all the reasons you said. Again, teams with a ton of continuity coming into the season, like that's really what I like early in the season. That really makes me excited. That's what you've got certainly with the Titans. There are two things I want to say. One is, just to be clear, we offer the consensus lines over at bettingpros.com. We're talking about our contest lines, the consensus lines. There is a -2 out there to the extent that matters to you at BetMGM. Everybody else is -2.5. The one thing that worries me, Matt, about this is the Broncos, however they are on the season, are always really, really good at home early in the season. Early in the season is when they are nearly, not last year, but, nearly unbeatable at home. Makes me a little concerned about it. However, with that said, I'm totally with you on this one. This one I'm good to lock in pen. I just want to give both sides of it because I do think, again, give me continuity on these first games. Teams that, aren't making any big changes, and the Titans are identical. So they're totally good to go at this point. And again, I just think that the Broncos, while the offense might be good eventually, I'm not a huge Drew Lock fan, it's going to take time for them to get there. So for me, totally with you, locking it in pen, Titans -2.5 on the road. Okay, that's 4. But you mentioned a different game to me that I thought you would have liked because it's one of my favorites, and this is from a Jets fan, and that's the Bills laying 6.5 to the Jets. Are you off that now? I know you do not love the Bills. You have been just pounding that for 2 years. So are you off that now, or is that something you're considering?
I'm not off, but these division games in week 1, there is a line, a trend, which doesn't mean anything, but there is a trend that about divisional dogs in week 1 have covered at a pretty good rate. So the 6.5 has given me a little pause on the Bills.
Okay.
So the games I'm debating right now are the Bills -6.5, the Rams +3.
Yep.
And in the DraftKings contest, the Bengals are +3.5. Are they not?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
But by the way, the Rams are only 2.5, not the 3.
Okay, it's 3 in circa.
Yeah,
that would get me off of it in the DraftKings contest. But talk me through this. Why are the Bengals only 3.5 point underdogs? I mean, or why aren't they a bigger underdog there? What am I not seeing there in that game where, this is Joe Burrow. This is his first start, and this is the Chargers now, okay? This is the Chargers with that defense. And I know Derwin James got hurt. I get that. I know
it's a big loss, Derwin James. It is, but I agree with you.
What am I missing here? Why aren't the Chargers a bigger favorite?
Okay. The first thing is, to be clear, the consensus line actually now, Matt, and every book I'm looking at. So it's not like, it's at 3 now. It's at 3. Now, Pouncey is out. Pouncey has been declared out, their center. Right. So that can make a difference. I don't know. I really don't know. Look, we like this Chargers team. We talked about it. Yep. The big joke you and I kept making is like, man, they always get injured. But while they're healthy, they're going to be really good. Their offense is going to work well with Tyrod Taylor. Mike Williams also may be out, for this game. He's questionable coming in. But it's really tough to see a rookie quarterback without any preseason games. You've got AJ Green, who may be limited a little bit coming in necessarily. I don't know.
Sometimes I take flyer plays. Sometimes for me, I just don't question the books, and I just say there's a reason why the Bengals are +3 and just bet the Bengals. Just say there is something that I don't know that I'm not smart enough to know about, and they're expecting the public to come in and hammer the Chargers. And then it turns out, because it's the NFL, these are the sharpest lines that there are, that they see something here.
I know. It makes me a little nervous, too. I love to do the game of trying to predict the lines. It wouldn't have been at 3 or 3.5. It
would have been 6.
Right.
I would have said 6.
And especially, right, they are having fans, I think, but a very limited number in Cincinnati. I believe that's where they came out of there. So it's not even really like a home field advantage. And again, rookie quarterback, starting, I mean, maybe that benefits them, maybe because it's like, well, it's going to be like a scrimmage for him, so it won't be the same thing. But again, continuity, this is where you want to go. And again, the Chargers have a new quarterback, so I'm not, but it's still going to kind of, I don't know, man. I'm okay. Now, again, at DraftKings, it's 3.5, and for the Circa, it's 3.5, right? You said?
It's 3 at Circa.
It's 3 at Circa. Oh, okay, see, it's 3.5. I don't know if that...
It does matter to me. I mean,
okay.
3.5, that hook is big. But again,
no, it is.
I still would take 3. I mean,
right.
Again, there's something that I feel like the bookmakers see that I don't. And I often say that they build casinos for a reason. So I sometimes will side with them on these types of situations just because I hate, and I mean capital H, hate Zach Taylor. I do not like their head coach at all. Again, I covered him in college. I don't think this dude's ready to be a head coach in the NFL. And then he's got a rookie quarterback on top of that. So it's like loss. So why isn't this? I mean, Anthony Lynn, I've seen like 4 people take Anthony Lynn as coach of the year coming up because of all the injuries, and they expect a big year out of the Chargers. Okay, if that's the case, they better pound this team. I mean, it's the Bengals.
Do you know what I remember, by the way, Matt? Because it's funny, because when you said there's you look at a line and you're like, why is this line this way? That this can't be correct. There's always a reason. And I was trying to remember what game it was. It was involving the Chargers. I don't remember the line. But it was the Packers going to the Chargers and playing them. And the line was ridiculous,
last year. Yep, last year.
Right. Mm-hmm. And everybody was like, what is this? What? The Packers are going to destroy the Chargers. And it was some really, really small line. And I remember thinking,
3,
like,
I believe it was. It was Packers on the road -3.
Right. And the Chargers won 26-11. Like, it was just one of these things where it was like, what is happening at this point? When lines like I will admit, I guess, that you're right. That was one of the lines that stuck out to me to say, I would make this much closer to 5, 5.5, maybe 6. Why is it so low? I don't know. But, I don't know. This year is a little crazy. Let me throw one out there that I like a little bit. And
okay. So we're on the same side of the Saints, right?
Yes.
So we're taking the Saints -3, right? Or 3.5. Okay. Yeah, -3.5. We're taking the Titans -2.5, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Those are the ones we'll lock in.
We need 3 more plays here.
Correct. Now, I'd be willing to go Bills 6.5. We can talk about that a little more, but let's put that one in pencil again, and maybe the Cardinals at getting 6.5. That one's on the table. That's not off the table. How do you feel about the Steelers on the road on Monday Night Football, laying 5.5 against the Giants? Now, I think I have this at 3 or something, because that's what the line originally opened at, probably before they realized there'd be no fans. I don't know. I mean, I realized 5.5, it's not a small number, but it strikes me as the Steelers are going to come out in this game and I know Tomlin's not great in the beginning of the season, but I think they're just going to go out and exert their will on the Giants in this game. What do you think of that?
There's a couple of Peralt-isms that you're going to learn about, Dan, as we go through it.
Boy.
I do not play 5.5. Ever.
That's a number that no matter what, you just don't play?
I don't play. It's a dead number. It means the books don't know. Anytime you see a book put up a 5.5, they don't know. That number is 6 is a key number, 7's a key number, 3's a key number, 4's a key number, 5's a dead number.
Yeah.
5.5, they don't know. And when they don't know and they just put that up, that's literally them, I think, in my opinion, they're raising the white flag and just say, we're going to put a number up that the professionals won't bet. So whenever I see 5.5, look, it doesn't mean the Giants can't win and cover. It just means that that's a trap game. And you can get beat by the hook so easily with that last-second field goal. I've seen it too much in these contests when it comes to 5.5. That is a really dangerous number. And there's 2 of them. There's the Eagles and at 5.5 and the Giants at 5.5, which both games I'm a no play on.
So those games are just off. Okay, that's fine. How do you feel about the Bears getting 2.5 against the Lions?
See, here, the Lions are the professional team again. Every pro I know, they love the Lions. They have bet the Lions over. They've hammered, but Galladay's out, okay?
Right.
And so Galladay's not playing, and they're going to get Swift back, but he's a rookie running back. So, I mean, we saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire have a big night, but I don't know.
I think Vitai's out as well. I mean, I don't know, man. This does not strike.
I hate Trubisky with a flaming, as much as I hate Zach Taylor, I hate Trubisky.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
You want to go on the road and you want to take.
Okay.
I mean,
first of all, it's on the road. It's on the road in name only, right?
Fine,
I mean,
it's still on the road. It's still indoors. It's still a dome.
It's fine. It's still indoors. That is fine. I don't like Trubisky, but I mean, he was as bad as a quarterback could be last year, and they went 8-8. Right. And I think, if they defensively is really what they're going to be able to do without Galladay, I think Robert Quinn is doubtful. So I think that is a problem. But Khalil Mack's going to be there. Their offensive line isn't that good. So for me, I would take the Bears and pick them. I think they're going to win this game. Ooh. But okay, that's fine. Let's think about it. Now, you don't like the Rams getting 2.5 from the Cowboys, right? You like them only at a field goal?
I would rather have the 3, the security of the 3.
Of course.
I think the Cowboys, this is one of these really public years for the Cowboys.
Yep.
And everyone's like, the Cowboys are going to be outstanding. And I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong about him, but I don't see a 10-win team out of the NFC East. Any of them.
Okay.
I don't think there's a 10-win team in that division. I think the Cowboys go 9-7. This is a game that they clearly need, but it's on the road. And here's my thing with Jared Goff. If you look at his home splits, the dude is so much better at home. Why? He can hear his head coach. His head coach can tell him what to do. No silent counts. He's more comfortable. This is a home game in week number 1 without any concern of not being able to be told what to do. I don't know. I think McVay, I know there's a whole Hard Knocks curse, but it's a different type of year for Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
I like the Rams +3, though. The 2.5 does scare me.
Yeah, it scares me. I would be willing to do it because I do think that there's a chance that the Rams are going to be able to win this game outright. But let's put that aside. How do you feel about the Ravens laying 7.5 to the Browns?
See, this is where I like this because it's 8 in the circa. So okay. I prefer this. So this is a play I like a lot. Ravens.
Yeah, I will do this one, by the way. This is one where I've been waiting. I have a couple of games where I'm like, if Matt gives me the go ahead on this, I'm just firing it up. I'm not putting it in or anything, but I'll fire it off. If you're good with the Ravens laying 7.5 against the Browns, I will take that. I think, by the way, they're going to be mad. I think they're going to be really mad at how things ended last year. I think they're going to come out and make a statement, and they've got all the continuity in the world, what we love early on. I think this is going to be a big one for them.
Yeah, I think Dobbins is going to have a monster year, much like Clyde Edwards-Helaire for the Chiefs. I think Dobbins out of Ohio State, running behind Lamar Jackson, that offensive line, I think the two guys together, their stable of running backs are really deep. And one thing I like about the fact that they're a run-first team, if they get up early, if they get up big here, which I think they could on the Browns, they're going to run the clock out, where the Chiefs on Thursday night, they just were kind of going through the motions and giving the ball back to the Texans, and I kept on sweating it going, oh my gosh, this -10's not going to hit because they keep on giving this. And then Bill O'Brien did me some favors, missing a 2-point conversion and then kicking an extra point, and I was like, okay.
He'll always do you a favor.
I was like, thank you, Bill O'Brien. Appreciate that. You help out. And then we ultimately didn't need it because of the field goal that got kicked. Andy Reid with a bleep you field goal at the end of the game.
Right.
So, but I think they'll run the clock out. So there's not that backdoor fear here with the Browns as much as there was with the Texans. So even though you have the hook there, 7 would be better, but I'm comfortable at 7.5.
And I forgot who it was. Maybe David Coker, or if that's how you pronounce his name, who was on last year, who just was like, man, I don't mind hammering Harbaugh, because Harbaugh doesn't just want to win. Harbaugh wants to take your heart out a little bit.
Especially week 1, right? Because everyone's going to compare them to the Chiefs and what the Chiefs did, and like all of a sudden the Chiefs are running the football. So the Harbaugh's going to be like, oh, okay, fine, you want to run the football? Watch this, and we're going to run the football right down. And look, I just new coach. I know the offense is a work in progress. I do think OBJ has a bounce back year for this team, but I'm just not that sold on Baker Mayfield, and I don't like the fact that rookie coaches coming in taking over during COVID-19 pandemic time is smart week 1.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I think we're probably on different sides of this one, so that's why I'm kind of saving it here to the end. How do you feel about the Raiders laying 3.5? To the Panthers, which is what it is in DK. I don't know what it is in the circa.
It's 3 in the circa. Okay. I don't like it at 3.5 at all.
But you don't like it from the Raiders' point of view, right?
From a Raiders' point of view, yeah.
Right. See, I kind of like the Panthers, which is why I think we're on different sides.
If you like the Panthers, getting the hook there is significant. 3.5 is significant. And if I wouldn't play it any other way but the Panthers at +3.5. And look, if you like Joe Brady and you think he's going to be able to transform Bridgewater into a stellar quarterback, Christian McCaffrey coming in, can he single-handedly beat the Raiders? Potentially, yeah. Raiders defense got some big questions. My question is on the other side, where you're losing a ton of talent for that Panthers defense and a ton of leadership off that Panthers defense from last year. And you've got weapons everywhere for this for this team, for the Raiders. So I think it's going to be a shootout.
Yeah. Bet the over, by the way. That's what I like in that game.
I like the over in the game, but we're not playing with sides only here.
Correct.
So if I was going to bet it, if I had to, I would take the 3.5. But I mean, 3 with the Raiders, I do think there's a decent shot that it comes down to a last-second field goal and the Raiders win.
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think if I were to, go one way, it would be the Panthers getting the hook. And if you were like, yeah, Dan, I really like that, I'd be willing to make that a pick. I think we've touched on every game, and then we'll decide here at the end.
We haven't talked about, there's a couple there. My team. Where's my team?
That's the only game I think we haven't talked about. That's what I'm getting to, okay? The team, I would like to know how you feel about this. The Patriots laying 6.5 to the Dolphins. I think we have at least touched on every other game. That's the one. Patriots laying 6.5 to the Dolphins.
Yeah, I teased it. So a daily juice play was Patriots teased down to minus half a point to 0.5, and then taking the Cardinals from 7 and teasing it up to 13.
Okay.
So that's a daily juice play that I gave out. And I think the Patriots win. But if I had to bet it, I probably would take the Dolphins.
So would I.
6.5 is a little. The Patriots are going to play a bunch of games by 3 points. They're going to win 17-14 a lot. So 6.5 feels. Devontae Parker, the reason why I probably wouldn't play it is because I don't know about Devontae Parker yet. If he's playing.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to play. I mean, whether or not he'll be limited at all, but it does sound like he is good to go.
Yeah, if he's playing, I'm comfortable laying the 6.5. Taking the 6.5 with the Dolphins. I would much rather at 7, but I'll pose this to you. So do you think what is the win total for the Patriots? What do you think? What do you think they'll be?
I think they'll probably wind up going 9-7.
Okay, so you're very okay. So on my radio show, I was literally throwing this out there. I said, anyone who wants to take this, because everyone was saying 6-10. I've heard 6-10 from like a million.
6-10.
Yep, I've heard it from a million people. 6-10, 6-10, and I said, fine. I said, I will lay $100 on anybody who wants to take this. I'll take the action on anybody. $100, Patriots to win more than 6 games, and no one wants it.
Of course not.
Even the people who say 6-10, even the people who are saying 6-10 in the media, Lou Merloni from WEI in Boston.
I saw you talking to him, yeah.
I was going back and forth on Twitter with Lou, and he's saying 6-10. I said, fine, Lou, let's do it. He goes, well, Vegas is 8.5 at Vegas, so I'll take that. I said, no, that's not what you said. Right. You said 6-10. And so I think the Patriots, I think you're right. I think they're 8-8, 9-7.
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with the division because they have 4 wins. They have 4 wins in the division sitting there. They need 3 more wins to get to 7. Okay. They're not going to be a 6-10 football team. They may not make the playoffs, but I think the games like this, these are the games that the Patriots win on a last-second field goal. You know, they pull something out, defense makes a play or something around the line.
Especially early in the year, right? Because you always look at the Patriots in the beginning of the year and you're like, oh man, for like 10 years, you were like, I don't know. They don't look that good. You know, maybe they're 2-2 to start and then they just wrap off 12 wins in a row. Like in the beginning of the year, I feel like Belichick is like, let me try this. Let me try this. Let me see what works here. Let me do this. And so they win these close games early on in the year. And that's why if you're good with it, I will roll with Miami getting 6.5 in the contest.
In week 1, given how heavy that 6.5 point feel is, I think it could be a pretty popular play, but you're in New Hampshire and with the DraftKings contest, I feel like we're going against everyone. So we have a chance to get some noise there.
Ooh, I like that. That's right. That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
You're going against what everyone's going to go ahead and play. And look, we're trying to obviously this is a contest here, so there is some game theory when it goes into it. We're not betting any money on this, so I'm comfortable at 6.5 to take it.
Okay, so for our contest, you correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like we've locked in 4. Ravens laying 7.5 to the Browns.
Correct.
Saints laying 3.5 to the Bucks.
Yep.
Titans laying 2.5 to the Broncos.
Yep.
Dolphins getting 6.5 from the Patriots.
So it comes down to the Bills and the Cardinals.
Bills and the Cardinals, unless you like the Chargers. Or are you off it because it's 3.5?
Yeah, I'm off of it. At 3.5, it's Yeah, I mean, I would take the Bengals personally. I mean, if I was going to go on that side, I would take the Bengals there.
So let's stick. Yeah, so I know you really like the Cards, huh? Yeah. This is your pick. That's the one that you
Yeah.
feel strongly about, huh?
I like the Cardinals a lot. I mean, look, the only problem with 6.5 laying it's the same reason why, we just got into it with the Patriots and the Dolphins. It's a big number. This is a divisional game. The Bills have a divisional game as well.
Right.
But Josh Allen, I mean, my gosh,
you hate the Bills
I
so
hate
much.
the Bills, and I hate Josh Allen so much. It's got more to do
You
with Josh
are
Allen.
aware though of like what the Jets look like at this point, right? Like once Jamal Adams was traded, right? Like you know how bad this defense is going to be, right? Like their cornerbacks are not going to be able to stop Stephon Diggs and John Brown. He just has to get it somewhere in the same vicinity. You know what I mean? You don't got to worry about being like, man, let me get these 60-yard passes right. Just get it anywhere. There's going to be nowhere near either one of these guys. They can still stop the run, even without CJ Mosley. They can still stop the run. And so maybe they're not going to be able to run quite as well. But again, even, the Jets offense, who are we throwing the ball to? Like,
well, that's the one thing about this pick. You're a Jets fan.
Correct.
So you can handicap your team as well as anybody because you watch these guys. You suffer through these games. So if you tell me that you feel much more confident on Buffalo blowing out the Jets than you do the Cardinals keeping the game close, I'm willing to go with you.
Man, all right. This is tough. This is really tough. I don't know how I feel about this because I'm trying to be objective. And, the Jets, I don't want to have, to basically be like, all right, I'm the tiebreaker. Let's see where we go. And I wind up rooting against the Jets going to really make me upset, to do it. And, the more I've kind of dug into the Cardinals game, because you sent it. And that was the one where I was like, okay, let me think about this. Because at first I was like, I don't know. I really like the 49ers. Let me see. And they have so much continuity. But again, they have a ton of injury to their receiving depth. I mean, that is part of what it is. And yeah, I mean, you do have, you have the same system, obviously. Murray, I think, is going to be much better in year 2. Really, the only big change is the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, and that doesn't really matter that much, right? All right, Maddie, here's what we're going to go. We're going to go with the Cardinals. All right, I like it because it was the first one you came up with. We're going to go with the Cardinals. I'm going to spare myself the horror of having to root against the Jets and then watching them.
Just for the record, the Bills and the Cardinals both will be in my circa plays. So
okay,
they're both these picks. I'm comfortable with.
So you get to root against the Jets. That's fine. Yeah, I'm going to spare myself a little bit. I'm going to spare myself from the Jets' last-second meaningless touchdown to lose by 6.
Right,
and that a bit. All right, guys. So those are our official DraftKings Pick'em Championship plays. It's going to be the Ravens laying 7.5 to the Browns, the Saints laying 3.5 to the Bucks, the Titans laying 2.5 to the Broncos, the Dolphins getting 6.5 from the Patriots, and the Cardinals getting 6.5 from the 49ers. I like it, Matt. It's a good mix of favorites and underdogs. I feel good about this. Are you ready to begin our quest now to $1 million?
I'm so ready, and I'm so interested to see how many entries wind up actually in this thing for the DraftKings Pro Football Pick'em. But it's remarkable on the East Coast. See, here in Vegas, this is part of our culture. It is a new thing in New Hampshire, New Jersey, and West Virginia for the most part. So I'm very curious to see how we do. I mean, there's going to be a lot of newbies here in this tournament.
And again, 376 entries. That's it right now. I mean,
Johnny Avello told me today that they expect a rush. So as you guys know, in the fantasy side of things, to offer free roll is kind of the way that they go. And I mean, they lost $10 million on that game on Thursday. Okay. They gave away $10 million of free money to the people who bet the Chiefs plus 101. So losing $1 million might not be that big of a deal to them, or $2 million. They may not care.
All right. Well, look, follow us both on Twitter at Sports Talk Matt. I'm at Dan Harris 80. Follow us as we sweat this along. Hopefully we get off to a big start. Last year, I believe I went 1-4 in the opening week and then rattled off like a 5-0, a 5-0, and like a 4-1 or something like that. So follow us. All right, Matt, you've got to move, my friend. So go get your stuff done. Again, thanks everybody for stopping by. We'll be back every week, a little earlier next week, as we get rid of the conflicts, and we'll be breaking down what happened this week, and we'll be giving you our 5 picks coming into next week. Until then, have a great week. Enjoy your Sunday NFL football.